I go, those are the things you come up with.
She has the best.
She has a funniest sense of humor.
Super great.
5 o'clock, I'm gonna start, I think.
I think Sandy said she wasn't gonna be here.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
One second, I have to get somehow everything got out of order on me. Chairman Hewitt,
Here?
Commissioner Say,
Here.
Commissioner, if we could just go around, actually,
Yeah.
here, I apologize. I'm still trying to get the beginning of mine, I'm right in the middle of this.
Do you want me to take this one over?
Go ahead.
Okay. Chairman Hewitt,
Here?
Vice Chair Glass,
Here?
Commissioner Say,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Still here.
and Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, there's an item on the agenda called oral communications. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to bring up a topic that's not on the agenda, you could bring it up now, and we can just put it on the agenda for the future. Anybody? Okay, seeing none. Move to the next item, consent calendar. Everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes,
Yes.
and do I hear a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting on August 17th.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none? Please count the vote.
Chairman Hewitt,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Glass,
Yes?
Commissioner Say,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Okay. And we'll start with the first item in public hearings. Staff report, please.
All right, item number 1 of the public hearing is a continued application for the approval of a variance and a site plan for the remodel of an existing single-family dwelling categorically exempt from environmental review under section 15301 of the state CEQA guidelines. I've attached the staff report from the last meeting, just for anybody's reference, and have included a brief summary of the changes that have been made to the application and presented to you today. The roof deck has been eliminated, the second floor livable area has been reduced, and a deck has been added to that second floor. The overall structural height has been reduced, and all points are within 28 feet from above the lot's natural surface. The applicant has made sure to include all the various height dimensions that follow the grade and the differences in the highest point of the structure. With the modified construction plans, the floor area ratio variance is no longer required, as it meets the development standards for the high-density residential zone. So the updated overall description is an ongoing remodel at 201 East Whitley Avenue, comprising of a revision to a previously approved site plan and setback variance, as well as a new side setback variance. The application materials indicate no proposed changes to the approved frontage encroachment, but do propose a modification to the existing first-story floor plan, consolidating 2 bedrooms into 1. to accommodate an indoor staircase. To clarify, the revision to the front setback variance does not include any alterations to the existing Phase 1 approval, but extends it to the second-story addition. Phase 2 includes the construction of a second-story and open deck on the existing one-story, 626-square-foot, single-family residence. The proposed addition, which is vertical in nature, is within the existing building footprint and does not extend any further into the front setback than what was previously approved for Phase 1. While the street side yard along West Whitley will not be increasing in nonconformity, the 0-foot setback will be applied consistently to the upward expansion, necessitating a variance. The interior side yard will extend the full 3 feet as required at the start of the second story, partly to accommodate the neighboring property's encroaching roof line. Staff concludes that the interior side yard and rear yard setbacks do not require any additional variances. The height. The highest point from the lot's natural surface to the top of the structure measures 27.5 feet. The second floor would add 297 square feet of livable space, including 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and 1 office space, and 198 square feet of unenclosed, uncovered decking. No rooftop deck is included in the revised construction drawings. This second-story expansion utilizes a pitched roof over the additional living space occupying the rear 60% of the structural footprint and designates the front portion of the structure as unenclosed recreational space. The maximum height of the structure, measured as the vertical distance from the lot's natural surface to the highest point of the building, as defined in Municipal Code Section 9-3.608, measures 27.5 feet. This calculation takes into account the cross slope of the lot, as well as structural variations in the roof line in compliance with Municipal Code Section 9-5.405, which states no portion of the building may exceed a height greater than 28 feet above the lot's natural surface. And that concludes my summary of the revisions. I'm available for questions.
Yeah, could you, so is the drawing we have what they're now proposing?
That's correct.
Okay, and in a simple way, when I'm looking at the north elevation, the proposed north elevation, what part is actually needing the variance? Is it?
Are you talking about the front setback variance or the side?
Both.
Okay, so basically, the structural footprint isn't changing, so they're not, encroaching any further into the front or side setbacks. But since they're building upwards, the existing ones were non-conforming. So the Phase 1 included revisions to the front structural wall. And so that's why they got a variance as well as an encroachment to authorize those frontage improvements.
Okay.
They didn't propose any changes to the West Whitley structural wall, which is why we didn't require a variance for that. Now that they're expanding upwards, we're requiring a variance for those 2 sides to be able to apply to the second story as new construction. And then the interior side and the rear are going to be compliant.
Is the new deck going into the setback other than the side? I mean, it's not going, nothing's going into the height setback then, it sounds like.
Nothing's going into what?
The height requirement? I mean, there's no need for a variance for
No.
height.
Correct. The highest point is 27.5 feet.
Okay, thank you.
So the variance is because the second floor is being added, and it is to conform to the bottom floor. And since it wasn't approved before, that's required.
Correct. The interior side is coming in 3 feet as required, and then the street yard and the deck are going to be flush with the structure.
And what about the back? The back didn't need,
The back has
Enough setback.
definitely enough setback.
oh, okay.
So it looks like this side setback here, there's our 3 feet put in
Okay.
from that neighbor.
citizens have a question for staff before we open the public hearing?
Well, if you look at the way it's drawn, the front doesn't require a setback in the front. If that wall was moved back 3 feet. I mean, the only thing encroaching is this upper wall right there. It's 3 feet this way, which makes the side yard correct, but all of this is below 28 feet.
Are you talking about a height variance or a setback variance?
Setback, either one. There's no structure here.
The deck would include, the deck is included as something that can't occupy a yard, and it's anything 30 inches above grade. So if he wanted to pull that front piece of the deck back 3 feet, he wouldn't need a variance.
And that's even though there's a structure underneath it?
Yes.
Okay, so it's awkward to use the word yard when there
Well,
isn't a yard, it's a building. And I
well-
think that's,
What I'm getting at is what was approved before, there would be a roof on top of this,
right.
right? So that would clearly be there anyway.
Yeah, and now it's just a rhythm of the deck.
You're adding occupancy to the second story, which would be different if you moved it 3 feet back. So we have to allow people to comment.
Okay, thank you. It's becoming more and more clear every time. Any more questions for staff before we open the hearing? Okay. Any comments from staff before I open the hearing? Okay. Open the public hearing. Anybody wish to speak for, against, or any statement, please come forward. Give us your name and address. Yeah.
Good evening, Planning Commission members. My name is Mark Pasveer. I'm the owner, builder, applicant for the project. So we were here last month, listened to some of the initial concerns that our neighbors raised, which we have, I think, for the most part, all addressed. As Susanna already mentioned, we've eliminated the rooftop. We have reduced building height. We have introduced a setback at the adjacent property. 2 reasons. Number 1 is to comply with the setback. Number 2 is to accommodate an existing overhang that the adjacent house has over our property. So by moving that wall 3 foot back, we clear everything and we comply with the setback. So that's kills 2 birds with one stone. The only areas where we are still respectfully requesting the setback is the areas where we believe it is least of impact to any of the neighbors, because it is on both sides public street, and it is within the existing property line or the existing building structure, and we do believe that it is a reasonable request. It is in line with whatever else is happening on Whitley, where houses are built up 2 stories, pretty much facing the property line. We're a little bit set back. Let's see. Yeah, I think that concludes it. So these 2 variances that we have, we've heard concerns in the last meeting about devaluation of property value. I want to argue the exact opposite, that after we are done with our improvements, that in fact the neighborhood is going to benefit from these improvements, and nobody is going to see a decrease in valuation. That's it. If there's any questions, there is one in the set. There is one 3D view that we have that really shows all of the heights, and as Susanna indicated, clearly stating that we are staying within the within the 28 foot. I was a little confused at first too with the front portion needing a setback or not, but then Susanna clarified to me that even a deck If it is not, if it is within the 3 foot, you still need a variance for that portion. So I hope that, that clarifies it. I think we've shown our, intentions to be good neighbors, and I'm hoping, that it'll receive your favorable recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on this one?
I just wanted to add that we have the height envelope diagram available on standby if anybody wants to look at that on the monitor. And then also clarify that we're modifying the front yard variance. We're not issuing a new one.
Okay. Anybody would like to speak to that before I close the public hearing? No? Okay, I'm going to close the hearing. Does anybody would like to make a motion?
I see the side with the neighbor on where you've pushed back in 3 more feet. You've relieved the roof patio and put it out in front. So I would think that would appease the neighbor next door, even with their roof hanging partially over on your property. It looks like you've gone out of your way to try to hit pretty much everything we spoke about at the last meeting.
I agree.
Susanna, what is the height thing that you just said you could put on the screen?
The city's height envelope diagram. I think we have it available to pull up. Let me just go double check. All right, and I think we're actually looking for the height envelope diagram in order to interpret the city's measurements for determining height. It would be the other attachment included in this presentation.
There it is.
That's correct. So this is the city's height envelope diagram that's been used since before my time, and it shows the 3 different scenarios for determining height based on the overall slope of the lot. And in this case, the lot is less than 14 degrees, so we would be looking at the 3rd diagram at the bottom.
Do you know what the slope is? What grade it is?
The slope of the lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's less than 14 degrees.
But you don't know what it is?
I think it should be in the packet materials. I think one side was 11, the other side was 9-ish. But this one has a cross slope, so there's, it's more steep on one side and gently sloping on the other.
Thank you.
You see the side variance for Whitley? If you didn't do it, you'd push in the top floor so much it wouldn't even be worth adding the 2nd floor on. You've already got the footprint down, so personally, I don't see a problem with that.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Using staff's
Using staff's
recommendations?
recommendations.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, moved and second. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for a vote.
Chairman Hewitt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Glass,
Yes.
Commissioner Say,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Motion passed. Second public hearing, staff report, please.
Item number 2 is for a transient rental license and a coastal development permit for 209 East Whitley. The owner and applicant is Jill Dawson. I don't see her here today. Okay. I expected. The property is located in the high-density residential zone, and it contains 1 large bedroom and 1 bathroom. It's developed with the residential use consistent with the general plan and is allowed under the 2021 growth policy. The property manager for the unit is listed as Yadida Bastida. Contact information is included in the staff report. Did want to add that this property is unique. It also will double as an event room, and it holds a CUP currently for both public and civic use. And the furniture will be designed to be portable, so they will remove it when it's used for an event room.
So it's gonna keep that
They're
ability.
gonna use both.
Okay.
So it becomes 1 large studio, so maximum occupancy would be 4. The subject property and all the surrounding properties are developed with single and multi-residential units. The requested transient rental license does not involve any physical changes to the existing residence that would adversely affect or be material detrimental to adjacent uses, buildings, and structures. The saturation map attached in the staff report indicates that oversaturation will not occur. The proposed project is categorically exempt under section 15305 of the state CEQA guidelines. Minor alterations in land use limitations which do not result in changes in land use or density. The project requires a coastal permit under section 9-8.102 B2V of the Avalon Municipal Code. The project is not within the 300-foot appealable zone. The city staff have not received any comments in favor or in opposition of the transient rental license. Staff is recommending the Planning Commission find the project categorically exempt under 15305 of state CEQA guidelines, adopt the findings necessary as outlined in the staff report to support approval of the coastal development permit, including that the project is not within the 300-foot appealable zone, and find application is allowed under 2022 annual growth policy. That concludes the presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
I do, actually. So I have a question for staff. You said in the beginning that it currently has a use of events, and it's like a meeting area or weddings, and so that's the use that this is under right now. So aren't we supposed to change the use and then come back, like the Island Company did with the office space? It was an office space. They had to come back and change that use to be a livable, and then.
What you have with this unit, it's a residential unit.
Yes.
So it's residential on both, my understanding is the first floor and the second floor where they have the event space. In the event space area, they do have space, bedroom, small kitchen, that they're looking to have for the transient rental. The concern we had as staff was that they could not, we would ask planning, if you're going to approve this, to have it so it can't be used for both at the same time. Meaning, you can't have an event up there of 50 people and then it's also the same people are sleeping there. So that's why we asked, and Donna had mentioned, them to recognize a maximum occupancy of 4 people for the transient rental. So that it's clear that we're treating it as a transient rental that there can only be 4 people based upon the availability of bedrooms, as compared to what it could hold for an event.
Okay, so maybe I'm not being clear. It's being used as an event venue. That's the use that it's being used as.
I think
Okay.
part-time.
So-
Conditionally, it's being used for that.
Correct. So is it one or the other? Can you combine 2 uses in one? Is that,
Yeah, I think so.
okay, that's,
In fact, I think that's what they're asking.
that's what okay, so that's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be one or the other. They just don't want the transient rental. They want both.
Correct.
Okay.
But I would ask it if we can make it clear that when it's in fact being used as a transient rental, there is a maximum occupancy based on the transient
Right.
rental limits.
Okay.
It's not like you can rent it for 4 people and I'm gonna have 25 friends over.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
doesn't
Now-
work that way.
Is this, I'm not sure what I should be clear, but is there a requirement to be a transient rental, like a bathroom and a full kitchen? Or, because I did notice that it's like a wet bar.
I'm not sure. Do we have the requirement, to have the full kitchen?
It has a small kitchen.
It looked like
John
a-
calls it a utility kitchen.
Okay, because the way I read it was a wet bar,
No, it has a small kitchen.
a stove and, where?
Is that a requirement though, or isn't it
Is
just
that-
that it's
yeah.
it's a room board? That
I've
you could
never
rent
thought
one of
that.
the rooms, yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
You could rent a room in your house as a transient, could you
no
not?
one's asked.
Yeah,
but-
we
I
don't.
mean, I just,
The bedroom is a requirement, but I do not believe we require the kitchen.
okay,
And just to make it clear, they're not applying for 2 CUPs. They're applying for the transient rental license.
okay.
You said at the beginning there was a CUP for them to lease this room out?
As an
with
event
the city
room.
and the-
Yes.
So
Yes.
they've applied once for a CUP for that?
They hold that
which we've
CUP
given
right
them,
now.
And now they're applying a second time, so they're, in my calculations, $6,600 into our application, and we get 12% when they rent it out.
Right.
Sounds
Well, I just
like
wanted
we're-
to make it clear where they pulling
Yeah.
that off and then just this or
So
both.
it can go back and forth.
Right,
So you could rent it sometime, you've got an event planned, but then there's a month where they're not, and you put a couple vacation renters in, and city collects the 12% bed tax, and the place just doesn't sit empty.
Correct.
Also, just a reminder, we've shifted away from issuing CUPs for transient rental
License.
license. So
Absolutely, good call.
I
Thank
hope
you.
that helps.
Yeah, well, so a license.
Okay, any questions before I open the public hearing?
No.
Okay, open the hearing. Anybody wish to speak for, against, or have any comments? If you do, name and address, please.
My name's Jill Dawson. I'm the owner of Overlook Hall at 209 East Whitley. And I just wanted to introduce myself and thank you for your time. And I can speak to some of basically what you guys concluded is exactly correct. It was used as an event space before I bought it, and because it's one of, I believe, 4 buildings on the island with the National Historic designation, I didn't want to, my background is more in design and leans towards the vacation rental side of things, but I didn't want to remove the events as an option for people who had perhaps grown up on this island and walked by every day saying, I'm going to have a party there one day, or I'm going to get married there one day. So the plan is roughly to keep it open for events for about a week out of each month, give or take. Of course, that'll be sort of dictated by demand, but then in the meantime, we'll hopefully open it up for vacation rental as well. All the furniture, as Donna stated, within it is easy move, so we have sort of walked through pulling everything out and closing off the kitchen area that becomes very discreet when there is an event. And then we have this isn't necessarily directly pertinent to the license, but the goal for some of the transient rental income is to continue community activities that take place on the bottom level. The people that I bought this from ran Skiff out of the bottom level, which sent island seniors to four-year schools on the mainland. And that program's going on hiatus, but education's a huge passion of mine, and so I've had some meetings at the school to see if we can keep something like that going, and the funds from from everything that we do in the top level would go to supporting some of that. So I just wanted to offer some clarity on that and answer any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Close the public hearing. Any comments or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
With conditions 1 through 4, including the maximum occupancy of 4 people?
Correct.
Okay, is
I'll
there a
second
second? Okay, moved and second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none? Call for a vote.
Chairman Hewitt,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Glass,
Yes?
Commissioner Say,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
I have to abstain from
I do too.
3. I will be abstaining for,
107 Buda.
yeah, my husband drew the plans, so financial.
I live too close.
And Commissioner Smith, can you also state just the rationale for the refusal?
I live too close. I don't know if that's financial or what that is, but proximity, I guess.
Okay, I think the only issue we have is that leaves 3 out of 7 commissioners, so we wouldn't have a quorum this evening to hear the item, which means we could just continue it.
Could we draw straws between the two?
One's family member drew the plans. The other one lives in the neighborhood.
Right, but
Well,
neither of them-
we can't, straws could only be drawn if there was going to be a continual issue that would prevent the item from being heard at a subsequent meeting. But since we only have 5 commissioners present, arguably at the next meeting, if we have an additional commissioner present, then we would be able to hear the item without a conflict.
Wait, Commissioner Putnam is, she has to abstain too.
Yeah, she's too close too.
She's too close, and we do not have a 7th because of
Yeah.
the resignation. So of the 6 we have, a month from now, we're still gonna have 3.
There's not going to be an appointment between now and next meeting.
The application process for the new chairman has been extended because of lack of applications filed, so it's been continued, which is gonna push us into November. At the
Well,
earliest.
I think the problem is when you have to sort of reintroduce someone to join from a conflict, there's some sort of procedural requirements you're supposed to do in terms of preparing an item that has, I've done it relatively recently in a different city. There's a little bit of process we need to do, and I'm not sure we can complete it on the fly right now.
So Isaac, are you saying
I
we
think-
could probably complete this process before the next meeting?
Yes, we would do it at the meeting, but we just need to, we would probably want to denote it. If we were to continue it tonight and hold it at the next public hearing, we can look into it. We can also, our office would obviously work with the commissioners and make sure that we had confirmation that there truly was, in terms of distance, a conflict that was material, and do a little work on that. And depending on that decision, and if it is the same decision that, proximity and financial interest, in the case of Commissioner Sayes, can't be otherwise removed, and we have the same issue where we're short 1 commissioner for a quorum, then we would go through a process at the next public hearing where we would I'm trying to remember the phrase I used the last time I did this, but we would essentially have a process by which there was a random drawing involved with the clerk or someone up on the dais from staff, to essentially reinitiate someone who has a conflict. So it is something we could do at the next hearing. I would just be wary of doing it on the fly, and there may provide an opportunity with the specifics of the commissioners that live in proximity that it may be a moot point. So my recommendation would be to continue at just one meeting, and so we could handle that reinitiation if it is an issue at the next meeting. And in the meantime, I think our office can certainly work with the commissioners just to confirm that there are material conflicts that are presumed to require recusal.
Isaac, are you saying then at the next meeting, we could do an up or down vote on this item?
Yes.
Okay. And now that we've started this one, do I open the public hearing? I can't remember what we did last time. We had to do this.
You can do both. You could make a motion now for the commission, and I would recommend it. The potential recused commissioners abstain from that motion, and you could just do 3-0 for the motion to continue. You can take public comment since it's been open, or staff can, for lack of the larger quorum to decide the item, request that it be continued to a date certain. So you can take public comment since it's been opened if anyone's there to speak on it, and then continue it through either of those options.
Okay, thank you. So you two want to leave the room, and we'll open it with less than a full quorum, and then continue it, and then we'll call you back.
Yeah, and I would just say the public comment is just because it's been publicly noticed. So the decision, I think if someone speaks today, they'll have the opportunity as well to speak at the continued public hearing based on the commissioners that will be present and will decide on the item. But since it's been noticed, there's no issue for a member of the public to speak this evening as well.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna just open the public hearing. No more questions from staff. Open the hearing. Would you guys like to make any comments? Would anyone from the audience who happens to be here like to make a comment? Name and address, please.
Mike King, 107 Vitalo. Hi, Commission.
Hello, Mr. King.
Pretty simple plan. Guess I'm just really here to answer any questions that anybody might have. Concerns?
No, if you understood what Isaac was saying, we're going to get to do this again next month.
Correct.
Okay,
I'm not sure who the guy God was up on the thing.
I was right.
That is
God.
our voice
But
from.
I think I understood.
Okay.
So, yeah, no problem. I'm just here to answer any questions or concerns. If not, thank you very much, and we'll see you again.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Okay, I always wonder.
Don't close the public hearing, correct?
Not closing the public hearing, but I'm going to.
Correct. I would just say.
Close the comment period for right now. And does anybody?
Yep, and you.
Make a motion?
Sorry, Chair. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Would someone like to make a motion to continue this to the next regularly scheduled meeting, where we can work on both the quorum and the issue itself?
Sure. So I'm bothered that we go through this process and not have a plan ahead of time. I recognize that this item landed in our packets late, so staff may have not had the opportunity to know that there were 3 conflicted here. But I would think everybody knows where I'm living and where you live and what my business interests are and what your business interests are, and I think we need to do a better job.
Way too much, yeah.
Better job. The Kings have taken their time to come here and do this. There has not been opposition. I understand Isaac's motive and rationale to holding it over a meeting. But you'd think we could get ahead of that curveball. So that being said, I'll make a motion to hold this over to the next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting, at which time Isaac can put together a game plan on how we are going to vote on this item and which one of the 3 that are required to recuse themselves and/or a new commissioner joins our forces.
Thank
I
you.
will second the motion.
Moved and second. Other discussion? Seeing none, call for a vote, please.
Chairman Hewitt,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Glass,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Thank you. I will go get the rest of the plan.
Isaac, you've been elevated to God status.
I appreciate that, yeah.
I would just like to put in a good word for all the commissioners now.
on the line. Okay, and then the final item on the agenda is reports from Planning Department. Any reports?
Just two items, I think, just to bring to your attention, and not really for discussion because they're not agendized, but at the October meeting, we will have an item on your agenda for the chairman, selection, the process for the movement of the chairman, from Vice Chairman Glass up, and then the selection of a vice chairman. So that'll be on the agenda for October, so give thought to that, whatever thought you need. And then just to indicate, I wanted to bring it to the commission's attention that the application that was approved by you guys in the last commission meeting regarding the triplex, the 3-unit that was approved with some conditions, the applicant has, and there was an appeal filed on that issue. Through conversations through council and the applicant has withdrawn that application. That's why a resolution was not presented to you on that issue tonight, because the applicant has withdrawn that. It is their intent to resubmit a new site plan. We fully anticipate that new site plan will be a 2-unit with an ADU. And it'll be probably a similar discussion amongst you as going forward. But in order to comply and satisfy the concerns that were raised in the appeal, that was the resolution that was done by the applicant. Other than that, those are the only two issues I have.
Could you update us on membership? Planning Commission membership, it sounds
Well,
like 2 people maybe?
Like I said, at this point, we are still taking applications. We're trying to get that filled as of.
And we have 2 vacancies now? I mean,
we only have 1 vacancy.
One.
And
We're
that's
recruiting for
Bruce?
one full-time and one
We are looking
alternate.
for right. An alternate will be the second that we're looking to fill.
to an alternate?
We thought that as long as we're advertising for it, if we get multiple applications, we would fill the alternate spot, so we don't run into these problems. But we are looking to fill one, Mr. Furtick's spot, and then there will be an alternate.
Okay.
did his spot expire?
He resigned.
Oh.
He submitted a letter of resignation
Okay, thank you.
to the mayor. Yep.
Okay, so planning, city attorney report, if any? Isaac?
None, just to say thanks for everyone's patience tonight, and we'll be sure that item, one way or another, can be heard, and we take the procedural steps necessary at the next regular meeting.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission members? None? Okay, adjourn. Good night, Tony.